Scott Simpson.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. It's a pleasure as Chairman of the Local Government and Environment Select Committee to stand and speak in this first reading debate of this resource legislation amendment bill in the name of the Environment Minister, Dr Nick Smith. Sir, but I can't let it pass without comment by way of introductory comments. Having listened to Phil Twyford in his speech spend most of his 10 minutes railing against the RMA in its existing form as not being the root cause of many of the ailments that prevent housing growth and efficient and cost-effective development in New Zealand, when only last week, Mr Speaker, only last week in a public release, in a press release dated the 26th of November, he says, and I quote, "The way councils regulate housing and urban development under the RMA is a root cause of New Zealand's expensive housing." And he's forgotten that in less than a week. Sir, back in 1991, when the principal RMA legislation was passed, it was groundbreaking legislation. It was creative, it was imaginative, and it was world-leading. But in the years that have ensued since, sir, it has become complicated, it's become frustrating, it's become expensive, and it has become a real weight around the neck of so many New Zealanders who want to grow their businesses, develop houses, develop opportunities for them and their families. And so it's no wonder, sir, that reports from organisations as worthy as the OECD, Local Government New Zealand, and indeed the Productivity Commission themselves all highlight that the cumbersome planning process of the existing legislation is causing us an enormous amount of frustration and slowing us down as a nation. So I want to compliment and congratulate the Minister Nick Smith on bringing this piece of reform legislation. It's the part that is phase 2 of this National Government's RMA reform legislation. I want to congratulate him on bringing it to the House. I want to acknowledge the support of the Maori Party and their wisdom in joining us in supporting it to first reading, and also that of the Labour Party, because, sir, people around the country are frustrated by the existing legislation. This bill is a substantial, moderate and sensible piece of reform legislation. It's a bill that New Zealanders, sir, have been waiting for a long time. And the overarching purpose of the bill is to create a resource management system that achieves sustainable natural resource management, but at the same time manages physical resources in an efficient and an equitable way. Those are laudable principles, and one that this bill seeks to achieve. The bill will almost certainly go a long way to reducing the existing heavyweight bureaucracy and red tape that surrounds the consenting process. And core to these reforms are a focus on a much stronger nationwide planning direction, better plan making, simpler consenting, improved processes, better engagement with iwi, and improved alignment with other legislation. I want to focus just for a second on the consenting process. This bill will make it easier and more simple to apply the consenting process. It will reduce costs and it will benefit those who are seeking to create sensible and worthwhile developments. This bill will achieve nationwide consistency and direction, and that's important for all New Zealanders and for our economy and our country as we go forward. Currently, the variation between different council plans around the country can be confusing, costly and frustrating. Sir, this is a good bill. As Chairman of the Select Committee that will be considering it, I want to give members an assurance that there will be plenty of time to hear from submitters and plenty of time to receive submissions. I'm very much looking forward to having it at Select Committee, and I commend it to the House.